Hello everyone, Stanley here and welcome back to another Minecraft update video. If you saw Minecon, then you'll know that the Warden and the Deepdark have been delayed until 1.19, which is releasing next year. However, we also got a ton more amazing footage and teasers about the Deepdark and the Warden, and I've already done a surface coverage video of all of those. In today's video, we're going to be doing a deep dive on absolutely every detail that we know about the new Warden and Deepdark features. There is a lot of additional details that you might have missed in the Minecon footage, and there's also been a lot more details tweeted out by the developers over on Twitter. So stay tuned, you are bound to learn something new about the Deepdark and the Warden. A good amount of the information in today's video is coming from Minecraft developer King B Dogs over on Twitter, and if you haven't already, I would definitely recommend following them. They tweet out a lot of very interesting things, they reply with a lot of really interesting answers, and of course, they also have a pretty good variety of memes too, so something for everybody really. So first up, let's talk about the Warden. There's a lot of pretty interesting features that we know about the Warden, starting off with sound design. During all of the Minecon clips, you can hear some just beautiful sound design, sound effects, music, and of course the sounds that the Wardens and the Shriekers make. All of the sounds shown off at Minecon are actually in-game as well, including the heartbeat that you can hear during the Warden fight. Now, it's been confirmed that that heartbeat is actually from the Warden itself, and it'll get louder and faster the closer the Warden gets to finding you, basically. So it just increases that anxiety level when running away and attempting to flee from the Warden. And overall, they're putting a lot of effort into the sound design, which is fantastic because the Warden is also a blind mob. It's Minecraft's first ever blind mob, meaning that invisibility potions don't really have any effect on it at all, and of course it's going to be near impossible for the player to see at most times while they're in the deep dark, so sounds are really going to play a big part. The Warden can also change colors in some pretty specific areas. Whenever it detects a sound vibration, its heart and antennas will actually turn blue, just like the Skulk sensor, and those same areas will turn bright red whenever it takes damage. Mojang is also thinking about how to get rid of the Warden whenever it's no longer needed or chasing down the player, so the Warden is confirmed to crawl back into the ground after a certain period of time of not finding the player. So if you successfully avoid the Warden for maybe a couple of minutes or however much time it might be, the Warden is going to crawl back into the ground, and then you are pretty much safe from there on out, unless of course you summon it again by activating all of the Skulk Shriekers. The Warden is also confirmed to currently have 500 health, which equals 250 hearts, and they're actually thinking about increasing it as well, which is kind of silly. That is way more health than almost anything else in Minecraft. To give you a bit of perspective, the player, of course, only has 10 hearts, the actual Ender Dragon has 100 hearts, the Java Wither has 150, and the Bedrock Wither has 300. The Warden is basically going to be harder to kill than any of the boss mobs in Minecraft, and it's really designed to not be killed. It's not going to drop anything, it's going to have anti-cheesing technology, and it's just going to be designed for the players to run away from it and avoid it at all costs, which is a pretty interesting mechanic that we haven't really seen in Minecraft before. Speaking of cheesing the Wither, this refers to basic strategies such as just pillaring up a couple of blocks to get out of the Warden's range, or maybe putting it in a boat or something, and Mojang is of course aware that players are going to do this and are always going to do this, but they're also looking at creative and clever solutions to combat some of the basic cheesing methods. They do not want the Warden to break any blocks because that is too brute force. However, there is going to be counters to a lot of the things that the player can do. So moving on to the deep dark cities or the ancient cities. First of all, you might think that these things are way brighter than they should be for it being called a deep dark city, but keep in mind that all of the footage from Minecon has clearly been enhanced and brightened just for the viewing experience of everyone, and a lot of the footage that I'm showing in today's video has also been further enhanced so that we can see some of those details. So the actual deep dark is of course going to be very, very dark, and the deep dark cities will have some light sources in them, but they're still going to be very dark. So I've noticed quite a few blocks in the backgrounds of the Minecon footage. First of all, in the main walkway going up, you can find smooth basalt, which is the only other place besides amethyst that we can find this in the game. And you can also find the polished basalt on the ground there as well, which is a pretty interesting little detail. Furthermore, you can find skeleton skulls in certain areas, which I believe is the only place in Minecraft that you can find those skeleton skulls, which is really awesome. And you can also find, of course, the soul lanterns and the soul fire, and underneath the soul fire you can see a little bit of soul sand. So that is another place that we can get soul sand now, meaning that we no longer need to go to the nether to get it, which is pretty awesome. Of course, there's also the gray wool in the floors of the deep dark cities, and those will help dampen your footsteps so the Skulk sensors don't pick you up when you're walking by. I also noticed that some of these oak planks in the backgrounds kind of looking like the top of a bridge or something like that. I'm not sure what's up with that, but it seems kind of interesting because it definitely does not fit the build theme. I'm not sure what to think about that. In case you didn't know, every deep dark city is going to have one central area that's like the main reason to go there, and we assume that that's probably going to have something special or maybe some unique loot in it. Maybe consider that as like the gold pile from a bastion, for example. Anyway, that central feature is showcased ever so briefly in quite a few shots of the Minecon footage, and you can see that there's a really weird looking block around the frame of that building. I don't know what that block is. I've enhanced this footage a little bit to kind of show it better. It's just a weird, strange texture, and I honestly do not know what to think about it. But you can also see there's a little slit across the bottom there with a bunch of the blue fire behind it, and this room likely is going to have something very special and very weird, and probably lore related as well. Of course, at the front of that little special area is 4 pillars, each of which with 1 redstone lamp on top of it. This is the only structure in Minecraft that has redstone lamps, and I kind of think that these 4 pillars might have something to do with the 444 and quadromorphic ender vision that was mentioned in the Minecon trailer. If you watch the Minecon trailers of previous years, you'll know they always tie into the updates somehow, but this one did not, and it's kind of leaving us all puzzled as to what they mean from a bunch of different things that were said in the trailer. So possibly these 4 pillars are some sort of puzzle and they tie into the central special room, or maybe it has nothing to do at all and I'm just reaching. I don't know. Somebody call MatPat, because we need a theory on this. Some more general information that you might not have picked up from previous videos that you've watched is the more Skulk that there is in the area, the more things have died there, because of course this stuff only spreads when death happens. So if you find a whole bunch of this stuff around the city, you know a lot of death has happened. You can also see that this one specific deep dark city has intersected a large dripstone cave, so these things might actually be pretty easy to find as they're going to intersect normal cave systems. Now, the deep dark is also still going to be a new biome type found at the bottom of the world, and all of these deep dark biomes will include the Skulk stuff, I would assume. However, not every deep dark biome will have a city, and the developers are still trying to figure out how common these deep dark cities should be. Personally, I'm hoping that they're kind of rare. The deep dark cities are also pretty large as well, but they are very different from other Minecraft structures, so it's kind of hard to compare their size. However, they're definitely like the widest structure in Minecraft, and all of these cities are going to be built from the same basic components. However, every city will be a little bit different in its layout and what buildings it has. So it's going to generate more like a village and less like an ocean monument. So they're definitely going to be unique every time you find it. And finally, we know that the Deepdark will have new unique items in it to find, and as you can see from the footage, there is several different loot chest locations sprinkled around the entire city, and I'm assuming that we're gonna see something very special item-wise in the very middle of that city. Currently, we have no idea what these unique items are gonna be, but we certainly have a lot to look forward to in the 1.19 update. If you want to learn more about 1.19 once the information is available, then consider subscribing. I'm going to be covering the betas and the snapshots along with any other 1.19 information that we get. So again, subscribe so that you don't miss any of those update videos or bug rocks. Otherwise, thank you ever so much for watching today's episode. I hope that you have enjoyed. Leave a like if you feel like it, because it significantly helps out the video on the channel a ton. And I will see you guys down in the comment section and in the next one. Thanks again, and then there was silence.